Culture Master Race.
Does mother know you wear it for grace?
All your pop culture needs. And we're your hosts, Aiden Munga and Brett Page.
Hello and welcome back to the PCMR podcast, home of the Pop Culture Master Race, where we talk about movies, TV shows, video games, comic books, beasts, fantastic or otherwise. Where do you find them? Yeah.
We tell you all that and more.
I am your host, Aiden, and I'm joined as always by my co-host, Brett Page.
I use the term co-host lightly. Loosely, you know.
I don't know. I figure
co-host.
we're both hosts. Just if I say my name first, if I say I am co-host, it's like, no, I am host.
Yeah.
You are co-host.
Yeah. I always feel inferior.
Well, if you did the intro, you could be host and I could be co-host.
Yeah, see, we used to take the intro week by week, but I realized, I'm kind of shit at it.
You kind of are. I mean,
I know my strengths.
yeah.
There's some things I'm good at.
You bring a lot of things to the podcast, just not intros.
Yeah, not intros.
No. Speaking of intros, that's what this is. We are talking about Fantastic Beasts and where to find them. The latest edition in the apparently never-ending Harry Potter franchise.
Yeah, it's going to end now. I'm pretty sure she said she's done with books. That doesn't necessarily mean she's done, because she's like, oh, movies.
And in little short stories on Pottermore, which I haven't read any of those. Like, I did the Patronus test, and that's about all I've done on Pottermore.
Did you do the new, Ilvermorny house sorting test?
I didn't do that test, no.
So I looked at it, and I wanted to do it, but at the same time, it's like, oh, you have to sign up to Pottermore to do it. I'm like, yeah, no, fuck ya.
Just make a fake email account. Although that's effort, yeah.
Yeah, that's effort.
No.
That's effort. I didn't care that much.
I think I'd made one at the start when Pottermore was a thing to find out what my Hogwarts house was. I was a Slytherin, of course.
I was a Ravenclaw.
But you're not smart. What are you talking?
Not all Ravenclaws are smart. I don't know. I don't know, okay?
You look more like a Hufflepuff, mate.
I was Ravenclaw.
There's nothing wrong with Hufflepuff, though. Newt Scamander, he's a Hufflepuff.
Yeah,
He seems like a competent wizard.
he got expelled.
True, but there were reasons.
Yeah,
Not necessarily what you would think at first, apparently. Brett, do you want to... What's the plot of this movie?
Putting me on the spot here.
Yeah.
There's fantastic beasts, and we have to find them.
Yeah, okay. So...
That's kind of... See, the thing is, it's kind of like a bait and switch, because that's what you're going expecting, but it's really a subplot.
It is kind of a subplot. He's just kind of... Newt Scamander is there, and then there's this other story going on, and he's just happening around it.
Yeah, so he's kind of just there to bring us into this other thing that's happening.
So let's try and the plot. So it's 1926.
Yeah. Let's preface this by saying it's a bit convoluted at points.
It's a little convoluted at points, but once it settles into a groove, it's kind of okay, I understand where this is going. But at first, they have to really kind of set the scene for you. It's like, okay, they have to tell you what year it is. 1926. Who's the big bad wizard of this time? Well, it's not Voldemort, it's Grindelwald.
Yes.
Who's a Grindelwald? Who the fuck knows? But he's the wizard Hitler of this time.
He was friends with Dumbledore.
Oh.
And originally the rebellion that Grindelwald was doing, Dumbledore was going to be doing it with him because they wanted to bring the wizarding world out into the open.
Oh.
And Dumbledore kind of wanted, humans and wizards to live alongside each other in peace and shit.
Right.
But Grindelwald was kind of just like,
So then
no.
Magneto and Professor X then.
Yeah, a little bit.
Everyone is Magneto and Professor X.
Yeah.
Everyone's Malcolm X and
apparently the Dumbledore
Martin
and
Luther King
Grindelwald
Jr.
had a big fight in which... No, it was Dumbledore, Grindelwald, and Aberforth.
Okay, well, I think we're getting off track. I think that's sequels away before we get to that.
Really? I thought that was before that.
No. I'm pretty sure, because this is set in 1926, and that fight happens in 1945. Oh. So we're years away from that.
Because I know that Grindelwald and Dumbledore fought twice.
The big fight is in 1945.
Oh, I thought the big fight was just him and Dumbledore and
I think they've had a falling out, but
this
isn't the big fight.
Yeah, see, I thought the falling out was the one with them two and Aberforth where Dumbledore's sister died. I don't know.
Well, yeah, spoilers for people who don't care.
Oh, fuck off. Yeah. Fuck off. If they know, they can know. If they don't know, they don't care.
I don't know. It's not spoilers for this movie. It's just spoilers for, I guess, fake history.
Fake history, yeah.
Yeah. No. So
Live album.
anyway, I was trying to explain the plot of this movie before we got deep into bullshit lore that doesn't affect this movie at all. So, Newt Scamander, he arrives in New York in 1926. He's got some beasts in a little
Magical suitcase.
in my little magical suitcase.
TARDIS. TARDIS. It's a TARDIS.
It's
Not a TARDIS.
in his suitcase TARDIS. And some of them get out. There's a classic little bait and switch. He swaps cases with Jacob Kowalski or
I don't remember his last name.
yeah, Jacob. They're out Nomad. The
Nomad. I hate
I
Nomad.
I understand it because it's like Muggle. It sounds like oh yeah, bloody Muggles. Ooh. And then Nomad, just like how Americans have like yeah, it's a sidewalk. It's like in Britain, it's like oh yes, this is the pavement. America's like, it's a sidewalk. It's a nomad. He's got no magic. Hey, I'm walking here. 1926 New York. Hey.
I still don't like Nomad.
I get it. I like, if you ask me, like, which is better, I'm like, oh, Muggle's better because it rolls off the tongue better. But Nomad, you're like, I get it. Sidewalk, Nomad, whatever other dumb things Americans say. Like, Donald Trump should be president. I don't know.
Yeah, that's a dumb thing Americans say.
Yeah. Topical. But that's years from now. That's current time. We're in 1926 right now. Up at Diggity Die, New York. So he's got these beasts, and some of them get out, and at the same time, New York's got its own problems. There's these the second Salemers,
which are basically people
very anti-witch.
Yeah. And they somehow know that the witches and wizards are a thing, and they're just like, yeah, let's kill them all.
I'm not. I couldn't tell if they actually knew, or is that just kind of like a holdout from, like Salem happened, and instead of like in reality where it was just like smart women who talked back were burned at the stake. In those times, it was like bloody
but I think,
actual witches.
Yeah, I think
them.
in this universe it was actually witches and wizards because they talk about in this movie how. Back then, witches and wizards were actually getting burnt alive.
Yeah, I think that's
where
they coexisted a bit more. But then that happened, and they're like, all right, so we're completely. You don't talk to them, you don't marry them, nothing to do with
that's
Muggles
where
at all.
Those laws came from. That Newt himself kind of said you have very backwards laws,
and they seem to have like there's a lot more. I did like how like the American kind of wizarding government was a lot more like, you have to have a permit for this, and you have to have this, and like I did like you have to have like a wand permit. I felt like that was kind of a clever little thing.
Yeah, where in England it's kind of like, oh, what? You're older than 18? No, you can use your wand.
Use your wand. Go for it. And when America's like, all you foreigners need to come in with a permit, otherwise you get the fuck out of here. It says New York, see?
It's very American. Let me say one comment, because I do have quite a few complaints about this movie, as I'm sure you do.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I don't know.
I wouldn't say quite a few, but I have a few complaints.
All right, yeah.
Yeah, one film.
Do we want to go negative first or positive first?
I'm gonna give a positive.
All right. Let's go positive first. You do your positives, I'll do my positives, and then you'll go into negatives.
Well, my first positive is, as most of us, we've seen all the Harry Potter series, and we're familiar with the England world, wizarding world.
Yeah, the British kind of.
So this is
a little bit of French and what is it? Denmark or Durmstrang? Where is that? Scandinavia? Wherever Durmstrang is from.
Little bit of those in the fourth.
Wherever that crummy fella is from.
Victor Crumb.
Yeah, that crummy fuck.
Crummy fuck. You crummy cunt.
Jesus, calm down. All right.
But
this is a family film.
But yeah, so we're being introduced to this world, and I feel like it's real comforting that we're kind of being introduced to this world at the same rate that Newt is. So it's kind of like, it feels natural. Like they're explaining to us what they need to explain to us about the differences, but it feels natural because he's entering this new world at the same time we are.
And they doubled up on that because we've got like, so for those who already know a lot about like the wizarding world, we're on the side of like, all right, Newt's our like eye into this. How did the Americans do all their magic stuff? And for those who like, I've never seen a Harry Potter film in my life, you've got Jacob there is like the nomad kind of muggle is like, what is going on? What is all this magic nonsense? They doubled down on the like, all right, people who kind of know and then people who definitely don't know. We've got your two little protagonists here. Off we go.
No, I felt like, as at the very start, he started to dip his toe into magic. Then, like the second he jumped into the briefcase with him, he just dived so deep into magic so quickly. I feel like that introduction to magic was done a lot faster than when we first watched Philosopher's Stone.
That's true.
I feel like Philosopher's Stone was a much more slow roll learning about magic than this, like, freaking neck deep straight away that Jacob got. So I'm interested to see how that might have gone for someone who was not familiar with the world, like if they understood it.
Magic will be a lot more like for us. We're like, whoa, what is this? This is all very confusing. We'd ask questions because we have all this technology to kind of compare it to. Well, in 1926, what do you got to compare it to? It's
Nothing.
Nothing. So you're just like, well, I guess so. Well, I guess this is magic. I guess you can do this then. And, he's got all these other things that kind of distracting him, and he's very confused the whole time. It's like, am I dreaming? Did I hit myself in the head? I'm just going to go along with it.
But I think one of the good jokes when he was like, I'm nowhere near smart enough to make this up. This isn't a dream. I'm not that smart.
I also kind of feel like that's a little meta joke of just JK Rowling patting herself on the back like, I am this smart. I did make this up. I am very clever. Thank you.
It could be.
Her and all the animators like, yes, we did make this up. We are very clever.
Animators and her bags and bags of money.
Oh, she
Like
is.
laughing all the way to the bank with like a white sack with a $sign on it.
We will never make the amount of money that JK Rowling has. Ever.
Not will we.
No. We never
We're
will.
creatives in Australia. We're screwed.
Oh, we can't even imagine how much. She's richer than the Queen. That's crazy. Although the Queen isn't. She's property
Queen
rich.
doesn't
She's
do
not
much.
Yeah. Apparently the Queen doesn't have a lot of cash money, but she's property rich.
Yeah, well, they have that whole like freaking basically museum of shit, like Queen's museum.
Oh, I know. I think J.K. Rowling, she was richer than the Queen, and then now she isn't because she donates a lot to charity and stuff.
Yeah, which I think if you're that rich, you should.
It's like I'm not gonna use all of this. Here, you have it.
Yeah, pretty much. But beside the point, magic.
Magic, yeah. It was so. Those are your positives. Do you want
to? Yeah.
All right. So I really liked the beasts.
Oh,
the beasts
so
in this
beautiful.
film were super
well designed.
Super well designed. I did have some negatives about the beasts, but I did like when the beasts were just kind of doing their own thing. Super cool. Really nice to look at. I really liked the Niffler. It kind of reminded me of like if Captain Boomerang and Suicide Squad had been more interesting. And also a platypus.
It's kind of like a platypus cross a kidnap.
I really hope that a Niffler is like an Australian animal because I was looking at that and it's like, that's just like a little Australian thief. I love it. He's just would go around steal people's shit and I'm like, you fucking go, bruh.
I think it was less that he wanted to steal shit because he thought, oh, this value is like, oh, shiny.
Doesn't matter. It's like a magpie in that kind of way.
I guess.
I loved it. I love that little thing.
For those of you who don't know magpies, they're an Australian bird. What cunts.
They are bringers of evil and bringers of pain.
Yeah. Don't even Google it. It'll make your life worse for it.
If you know of a magpie, you will be swooped by a magpie.
Yes. There will be an awakening in all of their minds like, we are coming.
They are aware. Swoop.
7 days.
But no, I liked the beasts.
Oh,
I
yeah.
liked that.
And they're all very original too. I don't feel like we'd seen any of the beasts in any of the Harry Potter movies.
I liked that for the most part, the references weren't in your face. Like there's a moment where the character played by Colin Farrell, whose name escapes
I
me.
can't remember it either.
Colin Farrell. Anyway, yeah.
He was like an aura.
Yeah, he was like a head aura. Head of the auras kind of in America.
Yeah.
Which I was surprised that like some wizarding words kind of like translated over to America and others didn't. Like they had aura, but they didn't have muggle. Which I'm like, okay, all right. I guess some things go across, but some don't. But yeah, he had like a Deathly Hallow necklace that was never kind of clearly in frame. It was just kind of like you get a glimpse at it, and it was just like, yeah, it's there, but it's not like in your face. There wasn't like a point where like the film slowed down and it zoomed in on it and there was like a da 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 music. I was just like, yeah, it's here.
Yeah, but I feel like if it really did like you put a focus on it, you might have figured out. Yes.
What else? I liked the cast. I liked that. I thought there would be a lot more kind of mugging for the camera, kind of like I thought Eddie Redmayne would be like, "I am Newt Scamander," but it was a lot of the performance were very kind of understated,
Yeah, that's
which
what I'd say.
surprised me because I was thinking this would be a big old bombastic film, which it is in some ways, but at the same time, like Eddie Redmayne was just kind of like, "No, I'm just a regular wizard," and I like that we're in this kind of stage where we can show the wizarding world from the perspective of adults. No one was acting too childish. Like there were small dumb things happen, but they weren't because people were dumb. They were just like, well, sometimes dumb things happen.
Yeah. Well, it's kind of like I feel like a lot of us kind of grew up with Harry Potter because I was watching it my whole life growing up. So, and if you
Would you say this is a kids' film?
I wouldn't say it's a kids' film.
No.
But the thing is, if you go back and you watch like Harry Potter, the Philosopher's Stone, or the
that's-
Sorcerer's Stone, depending on where you are.
They're hard to watch as an adult.
I think I'd say the first 3 Harry Potters they do not stand up.
I think the third one is when it started to be like it kicked into gear. Like the first 2 were very much kind of like these are weirdly different films.
And at the same time, you don't need the first 2 films as well because it doesn't.
You
Maybe
do
the
it,
last half hour of each of them like
you
adds
do
to
and
the
you
overall
don't because
story.
like they do add elements to the story, and there are like key kind of like these are the characters, this is where they fit into the universe, this is the universe kind of things that are important in there. But if the films start to get kind of good from a more conventional sense instead of a Harry Potter on the big screen sense by around 3.
Yeah,
And then
I think 4 was when it really started to get good for me.
it was 3 for
4 was the Goblet of Fire.
if parts of 4. I like bits of 5. 6 is okay, and then I like the last 2 as a whole.
Yeah, the last 2 had a very, very different feel to them.
They were very different film. They're basically a war film by that point.
Yeah, like, they weren't at school anymore. They were out doing their thing, killing Horcruxes.
So this one, that all fits in then, because if this last one felt like a war film, this feels like a post-war film because there's war paranoia.
It kind of does because
it's set after World War One, and
yeah.
there's mentions of like
there was a mention that Eddie Redmayne, he was Newt, and he was freaking dragons
training dragons during
training
World War
dragons.
One. Which why isn't that the movie?
Yeah, but say what's the old storytelling thing? Is this event that's happening the most interesting thing that's ever happened to this person?
Like
if the
it
answer
is
is no, why aren't you telling that story?
It is interesting in that it is like the final part, like before he writes his book, and that's what the film is like about him, like finishing his book.
Yeah,
It's interesting and like okay, and it is like a significant kind of turning point. I assume once we see these rest of these films, like okay, this is a turning point for events and things, but still, dragons in World War One.
yeah. Why? Where's that movie?
The only solace I have is that we're leading up to World War Two.
True.
So we're gonna get dragons in World War Two, Wizard Hitler.
Yeah, I feel like
Captain
Grindelwald
America,
is going to
maybe.
be a
I
big
don't know.
part
I
of
don't know.
World War II in this universe. I feel like he'll be a big part of it.
My understanding of history is all fucked up. So Captain America's going to show up in this as well.
America,
Yeah. And then
yeah.
Doctor Strange, because
Because he can travel through time.
who knows what could happen. But no, I do like an alternate history, and I like kind of understanding how like this kind of history and these figures kind of differ from our history. So like I'm very interested to know whether like I haven't looked it up yet, but the guy who's like campaigning to be like a mayor or a president or something, Henry Shaw, in this film, is he a real person? Is he a real historical figure?
Shall I Google it?
No, I
No.
don't. I don't know. We'll look it up later.
I don't think so. I don't.
He probably
I don't
isn't,
think
but
so.
that would be cool. Like if that was in there, that would be kind of interesting. Like, oh, this guy died on this date, but here's how his history is different. He didn't die because someone shot him or he fell down. It was because of the wizards or something.
Yeah,
because of
the
magic.
Wizards and the Obscurios.
Bleep that.
That's
We'll-
not-
we'll-
that's
no,
not
it's a spoiler.
spoil-
That's a spoiler.
It's not a spoiler.
It
If you haven't
is-
seen the movie because you don't know what it is.
That word is a spoiler. It contains.
Not a spoiler.
It is a spoiler. I'll definitely say that as a spoiler.
Well, you saying that he died is a spoiler then. Oh, turn it back on you.
No, he's not a very important character. He doesn't factor into like the film. It doesn't like, oh, this character, I was so looking forward to seeing him. He's a nothing character. You don't know he exists until you get into the film.
Kind of is a big turning point in the movie, though, that scene.
The event of like what happens is a turning point, but his death isn't important. It's more you later find out what that death represents. That's the spoiler. Don't fuck with me on this. I know my shit, all right? I know what is and isn't a spoiler.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, so do you want to talk about stuff we didn't like?
Stuff I
Nah.
didn't like.
Yeah.
So, okay, here's the thing. So, I totally didn't understand until like the last half an hour what the main plot, like what the main villain wanted. I didn't understand his motivation.
Mm.
And like, it's hard to say who it is without spoiling it. But,
Yeah, don't say. We'll get to it.
What he was doing with the other person he was doing it with, I was that sounded really weird.
Now go on.
He put it up his butt.
Mm.
And it's, the villain, it was really confusing. I could tell throughout, like, this guy is gonna do something, but it took me too long to understand what he was doing.
Mm.
You kind of get what I'm saying? It just,
Yeah.
it didn't feel natural. It felt like a pacing problem, maybe. I guess
Well,
is what you call
this
it.
is what's her name? It's her first. JK Rowling. It's her first screenplay, right?
Oh, she wrote the screenplay.
Yeah, she wrote the screenplay. This is like that's why it's like her, like she's not doing books anymore, but I think she did the story for A Cursed Child, and then she did the actual screenplay for this one.
Okay.
Because this isn't based on like a book or anything. Like there is a book.
It's based on the textbook in the movie.
But that's like
the book.
you can't make a movie out of a textbook.
Yeah.
Like, this is like a completely kind of original.
Yeah, it's the story
screenplay.
about the book.
Yeah.
Yeah. But no, I guess this is one complaint that I have, that it's just I didn't understand the main villain's motivations for too long.
Okay.
And when I did understand it, it was just all at once, I guess.
Mm.
So
Yeah, I guess so. I thought that was. I didn't have a problem with that per se, but I could see how you would have a problem with it. Yeah.
yeah. See, that's not something I've seen many people complain about. That was one thing that was really to me that until like that last big scene, I didn't understand what he wanted out of what he was trying to do.
Yeah. What I thought. I think I understood what he wanted, but I wasn't quite sure why he wanted what he wanted.
Yeah. Oh, because he was saying like, I want the girl.
Mm.
But I'm like, why?
Yeah.
It makes no sense.
No, I kind of was understanding by a certain point. But no, what problem that I had is that how I said, like, I like the beasts, I like the design, but whenever they interacted with people, I was kind of from like, oh, that's a ball and a stick. Like there's a scene where
It feels very awkward when they interact with them, don't they?
Newt's like patting one of them, and I was just looking at that thinking of like the Game of Thrones behind the scenes pics where you see like Daenerys patting a dragon and it's just like a green cushion. Like that's all I could think. And it didn't have like, it didn't look like he was interacting with it. Like his hand was in the right position, but there wasn't that just like little extra touch of like
it's like
texture added.
It's like the difference between like, hovering my hand just above your skin and then me actually touching your skin.
Yeah, don't actually touch me. That's
I wasn't going
okay.
to,
Good.
but I am now.
No, this is an audio pod format. We don't need any visual jokes. Okay.
Wasn't a visual joke.
Don't you? All right.
When I make you scream, it would be visual.
Oh, if you start ASMRing, I swear to
I didn't
Christ.
ASMR.
You whispered, and I don't trust that. Don't trust that at all. Don't stop.
I love how much it annoys you.
All right, but what other problems did I have? There were some slight kind of pacing issues. Like,
Oh yeah.
it felt very stifled. Like, I never felt kind of like that. Besides, like, maybe a bit at the start and a few moments here and there where I felt like this magic kind of wonderment that I remember having watching the Harry Potter films. I was more watching it being, like, fascinated. Like, I was watching a documentary, like, oh, so that's interesting. So that's how that works. It wasn't this like, oh wow, this is a new amazing world. It's more just like a, oh, tell me more, but not in a like, oh wow. It's just, am I making sense? Yeah.
It was interesting. It wasn't fascinating.
Yeah.
There we go. I put it into words.
Yeah. I liked it, but I didn't. I wasn't overcome with emotion really at any point.
Yeah. No, see, I had a problem with the pacing too because it kind of felt a bit scattered because, it had there was more than one story going on.
Yeah.
There was the story about the beasts. There was the story about the dude with the little girl that I already just mentioned.
Mm.
So, and like they told them at weird times, and it's just like you'll be talking about one story, then they're like, oh, and they're immediately doing this other thing.
I also thought there wasn't a lot of like a MACUSA, the Magical American Congress of the United States, whatever they were called. They were there a little bit, but they didn't
do much.
Like there were a lot of characters that were kind of like introduced, and maybe they'll do more in a second film. Although from my understanding of the film, I don't think the second one is even set in America. It's going to be somewhere completely different.
It might be a time jump, and like, will it even be Fantastic Beasts, or will it be a different
I'm
thing?
not entirely sure if it'll be even called Fantastic Beasts.
Yeah, because it feels like they're going to follow the story of Grindelwald.
Yeah, I think that they're heading towards Wizard World War II.
Yeah.
Like, if you don't know that, now you do. I mean, it's not so much a spoiler as it's like if you're wondering like what
where do you go from here?
Because they're gonna make 4 or 5 more of these.
Yeah.
Yeah. So if you're wondering like what the fuck can they do with 5 wizard movies, like Wizard World War II.
Wizard World War II.
Yeah.
When Voldemort was pretty much Wizard World War III.
A little bit. He's kind of Wizard Desert Storm. I don't know. Because it was less
Wizard Apartheid.
It was because they were more terrorists than like because this is like big massive forces going up against each other. Where like Voldemort is like it's a bit of a terrorist.
Yeah, everyone was terrified of Voldemort. It was kind of like Voldemort had pretty much won at a point.
Mm.
Then Harry was just like, "Oh, I'm not dead."
I guess that was kind of yeah.
That's not a spoiler. No, it can't be a spoiler at this point.
The Harry Potter films, if you haven't watched them, I mean...
Why are you listening
Why are you listening to this? Why would you care? Maybe you just like the sound of our voices. In that case, oh, hey. How you going?
Hi.
I'm sorry for him. I'm sorry that to listen to me, you also have to listen to Brett. But we all got to make sacrifices. We all
have a beautiful voice.
Oh, it's certainly something.
Don't you love me like this, Aiden?
All right, do you want to... Let's wrap up our spoiler-free thoughts. Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them. It was... It's like a good...
It was just fine.
It's a good film, and I liked Eddie Redmayne a lot in the role. I would like to see some more Newt Scamander. I was happy to see, like, every time I recognize a spell or like a visual effect for like I like that there were a lot of like visual cues to spells that have been used in previous Harry Potter films. I liked all of that. I liked the beasts, especially the Niffler.
Yeah, it was real. Got some good laughs from the audience.
I liked that it was 1920s New York. That was cool, even though it was kind of like a King Kong version of New York, because like they can't actually do what New York looks like today. So it was a lot of like stage sets and everything, and that was fine. Like I accepted, I knew that. Like that's the only way to do it. I liked Colin Farrell in the film and Ezra Miller. I grew to like his role a bit more as it went on.
One thing I actually found, some of the acting was really good, but then at other points there was some really poor acting at some points.
Yeah.
Like some people felt really stale and emotionless when they shouldn't have been stale and emotionless at certain parts.
Just what did you think of Queenie?
Queenie, I felt like she was a bit much. Like
I wanted to like her more than the film let me.
Yeah, I think that's how
I liked the idea of her, and there were moments where like, oh, that's interesting, but there wasn't a lot there.
And I felt like this was like another movie that suffered from the case of making relationships build too fast.
Hmm.
Like I felt like there was chemistry between her and Jacob, but I don't think
They were B characters. They were the silly ones.
Yeah.
Just match them up,
I mean,
whatever. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, there was chemistry, but I don't think there was enough chemistry for as fast as they felt like they wanted to move that relationship, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, I'd like to get more time in the world in a better movie. Like I'm enjoying the idea of it being like we're following adults. There's some children, but it's not about children, and it's like adults doing adult things. Because I've always been fascinated. Like once you leave like a wizarding school, what the fuck do you do? Yeah.
Yeah,
So this was interesting.
Jobs.
It's like you can collect magical animals. You can be an aura. You could,
see, until now, there's very few magical jobs we knew of. They'll teach her at a magic school.
You could own a magic bar.
Yeah, magic bar. Magic prank shop, like the friend George.
Every time they introduce a new like job, like, oh, here's what you could do with magic. I'm like, okay, good. I guess there are options, but it all feels very limiting. Like,
it feels very limited. Like, how many magical
jobs? What
jobs
if you
could
get out of magic school and you're just like, I kind of want to just be an accountant? Like, what happens then? Like,
yeah, but they didn't
are you not allowed to be an accountant because you're not a goblin?
Yeah, but they don't teach you accounting at Hogwarts.
No, is there a goblin school?
Yeah, where do they teach the goblins accounting?
Yeah,
where do they learn it?
Where is it like a tradition passed down? It's like, and you will work in a bank. I don't want to work in a bank. Like, no, that's what we goblins do. It's like, well, what if I owned a bar? No, we don't own bars.
We work in banks.
We work in banks. Which, I don't know if that's racist or not, but it's the 1920s. I accept it more here than I did in the Harry Potter world, where I'm like, you guys are kind of fucked up and set in your ways. But 1920s, I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
Anyway, so
maybe
some of my
goblins
thoughts.
just like working in banks.
I liked it. I like being back in the wizarding world. I want to see more. This film didn't leave me with the magical feeling I was hoping for.
Yeah, it wasn't big enough. Let's say that. Maybe it wasn't as big as I thought it would be.
But I certainly enjoyed Newt Scamander, and if there was like a weekly TV show with him, I'd watch the shit out of it. Because it's basically Wizard Doctor Who. And that's me.
Yeah.
That's what I'm looking for.
Yeah.
So yeah.
What are you going to give it? What's the score?
I would give it a solid 7.5 out of 10.
Yeah. Well, yeah. As I said, I had problems with the pacing at points because it felt like they were telling different stories and it felt like they were just kind of jumping between them at weird times.
Like a C plus or a B minus. That's what I'm thinking.
Yeah.
Something like that.
And like, while there was some really good character moments, there was also parts where there wasn't great acting. And Queenie, she was a bit of a, she was a lot. Even though you got used to her. And Ezra Miller, did we talk much about him?
We'll talk about him in spoilers.
Yeah. I guess his character's a very spoilery character.
Well, there's a spoiler, but I guess...
it is in its innocent. It's a good film. I feel like you can watch it even if you didn't watch the Harry Potter films. Like, I don't think you'll have as good of a time because maybe it'll feel like a weaker film to you because you won't have like the nostalgia for it that we have. So, yeah, it's definitely an enjoyable time, and I feel like
if you want a good time at the cinemas and you like the 1920s...
I feel like it's set up as well. I feel like it's set up.
There is a lot of setup in here.
So, so it's good enough, and just let's see how the next ones go. And I'm going to give it a 7. I was thinking a 7.
All right, a 7. All right, you want to get into spoilers?
Yeah, let's do some spoilers.
Let's do spoilers. Okay. Let's just keep going. That's still exploding. All right. Spoilers. Johnny Depp's in this film.
Johnny Depp's in this film for 2 seconds?
30 seconds.
30 seconds.
Yeah. So, you know how we were talking about Grindelwald?
Yeah.
Johnny Depp was the Grindelwald.
Really?
Yeah. How did you feel about that? On a scale of get the fuck out of here to he looks fucking ridiculous, how weird did Johnny Depp look?
He looked like a wife-beating dickhead.
He did. Well, I guess that's what he is, but I wouldn't say that's what he looked like. He looked like he'd been frozen. I'm disappointed that Colin Farrell, his character, is
he was one of the stronger points.
Is Johnny Depp, which I'm wondering. Like, I was listening to someone talking about this film where they were like questioning if Colin Farrell knew that he was Johnny Depp in this film. And if no one told him and he's just gone to see the premiere and he's like, just for like, oh yeah, and then they arrest my character. And it's like, no, you're Johnny Depp. And he's just wasn't there for that filming that day because he's like, oh yeah. And then they took him off. And then a different day they did the scene again with Johnny Depp there. And he's just like, what? I'm Johnny Depp?
I'd love to be Johnny Depp.
No.
Well, without the wife.
No. Look, if you could choose between Colin Farrell and Johnny Depp to play Grindelwald, who would you get?
Colin Farrell.
You get Colin Farrell because he's a better actor, and he pulled off the haircut better. Like his haircut looked cooler. He has more gravitas. So I also thought it was funny that they had Colin Farrell, an Irish actor, playing an American, and then an American actor, Johnny Depp, playing a European character.
Yeah, a little bit of
like
a
that's a bit weird.
But see, I don't think it was until that big, as I was trying to mention before, I don't think it was until that big train station scene that I realized, oh my god, the reason he was hunting the child is because he wanted the child to make a fucking scene, basically, and reveal the wizarding world.
He wanted a wizarding super weapon.
Yeah, he wanted a wizarding super weapon. So, but, you don't find that out until the very end, and I feel like that's too long to wait.
I did feel like there were, like, little clues as to, like, that Ezra Miller was an Obscurus.
Yeah.
Like, I did, like, because the reason, what I was talking about, how, like, it's not that the guy died, but why he died, that's the spoiler, is that he died because he called Ezra Miller a freak. So Ezra Miller decides, how dare you call me, Creedence Clearwater Revival, a freak? I will murderize you.
So in Obscuro, that was a new concept we were introduced.
Yeah, it's a new thing for this film, and now there's speculation that maybe Albus Dumbledore's sister, whatever her name is, Ariana or something, she was an Obscurus.
Yeah, because an Obscurus is like a wizard, and they've had to suppress.
Yeah, if you suppress your magic,
it goes wild,
bubbles up and eats inside you, and becomes like a parasitic thing that explodes into a lost smoke monster.
Yeah, so basically it turns you into a monster that it makes your magic uncontrollable. That's what it does. It kind of confused me for a second because I knew in the suitcase Newt said, "Oh, this is an Obscuro," and I didn't realize. Wait, so that's an Obscuro, or is that person an Obscuro? But I eventually understood that. No, because he said he tried to rescue that girl, but that's all he got out of her. So the rest.
And I wasn't entirely sure at first that so is the Obscurus thing like it sits in like that bubble, but he'd put it in that bubble.
No, he put it in that bubble. That's all he got out of her before she died.
So
and he's got it there so he can research it, so he can save the person the next time. But
and I understood that a bit more. What was I going to say? Oh, this is something we learnt in this film. Apparently, wizards have a different physiology to muggles, to normal people, which how, where, why, what specifically, that I would like to know. Like, I guess they mentioned that like wizards are kind of more hardy. You can bump them around a bit more, which would explain Quidditch.
Yeah, it would explain Quidditch.
Like that. Oh yeah, that's why they feel like, oh yeah, we'll just get in a broom and we'll fucking nearly kill ourselves in the sky. We'll kill children and
didn't they say at one point the longest Quidditch game was 3 months?
Yeah, it's some cricket shit. It's crazy.
It's ridiculous.
I did like there was a thing at the start was like a soccer. Is this the new Quidditch? All right, go on.
Oh god.
There was some. So, what did you think of when we got in the case? Like, we didn't see what the case looked like in the trailers. So it was a spoiler.
I think that was the best scene of the movie.
I enjoyed being in the case because, like, all right, it's not just a TARDIS; it's a zoo as well.
It's a zoo, and it had multiple ecosystems inside.
I was very
case.
fascinated by how all of that worked. Like, at first I was thinking, like, is this like another dimension? Is this? I was trying to think of the science of it, but then I was like, nah, it's just all magic, isn't it? And then magic, it annoys me because it breaks all these rules of reality that I'm not sure how. Like with something like Doctor Strange, they explain it enough where I can like put my mind on sleeper. I'm like, okay, it's energies from different dimensions, and I'm like, okay, all right, and then we go into different dimensions to do this, and that's our magic. And I'm like, okay, but the Harry Potter world, they don't explain it. It's just like, yeah, it's bigger on the inside. How? What? How? It's just bloody magic, isn't it? It's like. Explain it to me. Nah, it's just magic, isn't it?
See, for people like you and like me, a lot of the time when you want these things explained, we want to know how it works.
Yeah.
I feel like Harry Potter.
I don't want to
films
look
isn't
it
the
up. I don't want to
place.
have to read a textbook. I just want little bits of dialogue to be like, and then this and this and this, and that's how this happens. Like,
Not in this movie.
like there are little bits of that where it's like, oh, you need a wizarding wand license in America. Like that was an interesting little fact. Or like, oh, you can't marry or muggles or associate with them. That's like a little interesting fact about the society and what that says about how Americans operate. And like there are little things here and there that are like, okay, that's an interesting. Ooh, that's how the Americans differ from the Brits. But society-wise, I'm fine with it. It's the little magic things that still annoy me. Where I'm just.
And
It's mainly the bigger on the inside thing that annoys me. Like every other magic thing, I'm like, yeah, you shoot magic out of your wand, whatever. But how are things bigger on the inside?
how's the TARDIS bigger on the inside?
It's in a different dimension. It's a gateway to a different dimension powered by a dying sun.
Maybe they're in a different dimension in the suitcase.
How?
Magic.
Not good enough. Not good enough. Ah!
But no,
Anyway,
it was-
I'm being
it was
pedantic because I'm a big fucking nerd.
Yeah, it was a great scene though. But it's where we got to see the most of the fantastic beasts.
What did you think of the big old glowy rhinoceros?
It looked silly.
It
And
is
I
a little
love it.
silly, but I did like. I was trying to think of like what in like nature, like all the little magic things they use. I kind of like the idea, and they didn't quite specifically say this in the film, that a lot of spells and stuff are based off what magical creatures can do.
Okay.
Like there were that those little things that could like apparate. Like I like to think that like a wizard's like studied that and figured out how to do it with a wand, or like the invisibility. Apparently, like, you know, Harry Potter has like one of the Deathly Hallow invisibility cloaks, but regular invisibility cloaks are apparently made out of the fur of the old monkey thing.
Oh, that thing was
Yeah.
kind of cute.
Everything was kind of cute. And also, what else was I going to talk about? I don't know. But yeah, I like that idea that wizards learnt spells from studying magical creatures, and I was trying to figure out like what these like different creatures, what their little like magical ability, how that would help them in the world. Like I kind of understood like the Niffler is like, all right, it's got like a big old pouch because it likes shiny things, so it can store
Bigger on the inside.
Bigger on the inside, yeah. So I think maybe they studied Nifflers to figure out like, well, how did Nifflers make their things bigger on the inside?
Yeah.
Well, I guess that'll do as an explanation. That's the only one I'm gonna get.
I know. What other magical abilities do we see the creatures have? Well, we saw the invisibility thing also could see immediately into the future.
Size changing from.
Oh yeah, the size changing snake things are like they change their size.
A lot of
according
things
to the
could change
space they're in.
size, like the snakes and the swooping evil. The yo-yo thing.
Yeah, oh, that was great.
That was pretty good.
That
I was
was
trying to-
like his weapon. That was his weapon.
I did like that one. I did just like that. They were just like firing like magic, kind of like magic bullets. I like, and this is a kind of a pedantic thing, but I like how more practical wizards in America dress. Like there were kind of a little kind of like touches and hints here and there. It's like, yeah, we are wizards because our robes are slightly too long and they're kind of wizardy robes, but they're also like, they look just kind of like regular people, but slightly wizardier.
See, and the thing is, in Hogwarts and whatever, it looks like it looks like they're in a world from hundreds of years ago.
Yeah.
Like the whole English wizarding world looks like they haven't made any new infrastructure since like the 1700s.
While like the America one seems like very up to date and modern.
Yeah, exactly. It feels more modern. It feels like it should be in that time period.
Yeah, I feel like they've incorporated technology and then just magicified it up.
Yeah.
So like,
whereas the British are just like, nope, we're gonna live in this castle which has been around for 500 years.
Also, like a lot of the spells they use, like the same spells they keep using. Like I feel like you should innovate your spells a bit. Like sure, if it works, keep using it. But are you all still just using Accio and Alohomora and Lumos? Like, do you not have better spells?
Yeah. I mean, those
Make
kind
new
of
spells.
I mean, those are kind of basic ones.
Mm.
And here's the thing, 'cause you know how they talk about the big forbidden spells.
Mm.
I feel like there should be more spells that should be more kind of illegal than they are. Because Alohomora unlocks any lock, but it's like
I don't know. Wizards don't really care about theft because they're like,
that's kind of just a way to break into places.
like if you're worried about a wizard person breaking into your place, you'd put like a wizard lock on it. But like you don't care if someone breaks into a muggle's house and steals a teapot or something. It's like, oh, what, a wizard stole a teapot? I don't care. That's some muggle business.
What if they came into the house and killed them in their sleep?
Well, then they would have used an unforgivable curse, and then that's the illegal part.
What if
breaking and entering isn't illegal?
Breaking and entering, yeah, okay, that's what we've discovered here. Breaking and
grievous
entering is not
bodily harm
illegal.
and torture is illegal.
Yeah,
mind control is illegal. But
breaking and
entering isn't illegal.
Fine.
It's like
fine.
Wizards have the concept of property. It's just like, wizards can go wherever wizards want to go. I mean, if you can apparate anywhere, what's a lock?
I feel like you can't apparate anywhere though. I thought there was some rule like you had to have been there before. You have to
know where you're going. I
yeah,
think that's the rule, because otherwise you end up in a wall or something.
Yeah. Like I can't just say that's Chris Hemsworth. I want to go to Chris Hemsworth's house. And if I didn't know where Chris Hemsworth's house was, I wouldn't be able to go there. Just thinking I want to go to Chris Hemsworth's house. Not the point. I just want to go to Chris Hemsworth's house.
It's probably got a cool house.
Did you know he's originally from freaking what's the place? Phillip Island.
Really?
Yeah, he grew up in Phillip Island.
Mate, I've been to Phillip Island.
Yeah, I've been to Phillip Island.
That's bloody great.
It's where he grew up. All the Hemsworths grew up there.
So they're bloody
Liam and the one in Westworld.
The Victorian boys then.
Yeah.
Oh, good. I thought they were from some garbage part of the country. They're from a good part. That's okay.
I think he lives in Queensland now, though.
Yeah, that's why I was thinking like he's probably from Queensland or something. You can move to Queensland, but if you got to be born in the right state. Bloody Victoria, mate. Fucking, that's the good one.
Wait, does that mean I'm shit because I was born in New South Wales?
Yeah, you're a shit cunt.
I mean, that's not the only reason, obviously. But
one of many reasons.
One of many.
No, but what are the spoiler things that I want to talk about? Oh, so back to
that
like
bitch be climbing fast.
Yeah, it's getting there.
We're exporting shit. Talking about that.
Yeah, the rhino thing. Like, I was wondering like how it's like glowy, explodey stuff it would use it for, and I was thinking like maybe it would use it to like knock down trees, like explode them at the base and knock them down to grab things and eat them. I was thinking that's what it would use that for, because I couldn't think of what else it would use it for.
Here's one thing I was hoping would happen, but didn't really.
Yeah.
I was hoping like that thing would full on charge into Jacob and like hit him as hard as it could. You know that armor that Newt gave him? I wanted that armor to be like a magical armor that just took all of it, and Jacob was just fine.
That would have been interesting.
That would have been cool to see. But alas, it's just one of those things. It wasn't important. It didn't need it, you know. But it would have been a cool thing.
It would have been pretty cool.
So, anything else you want to mention about this movie?
I'm trying to think of what other spoilery.
Oh, Ezra
things.
Miller. Let's talk a little bit about his character. We haven't mentioned him much.
He like at first I was kind of confused because I'm like, it's Ezra Miller, and by this point if you're gonna be the Flash, you're gonna be somebody. So you're gonna be somebody in this film. So I was waiting for him to have a bigger role, and once he started to like go into his role, I was like, okay, this is good, because Ezra Miller, he's a very kind of jovial and buoyant person in real life. So for him to be playing something very down muted and stuff, it's like, okay, that's interesting. That's good to see you like
branching out, doing different things.
Yeah,
because we've already seen just in the trailer, as Barry Allen, he's gonna be having fun. He's gonna be a fun character.
Oh yeah,
hopefully. Don't fucking let me down, DC.
Oh, I'm so worried about that film. I want to like a DC film so bad. I want to go.
Suicide Squad wasn't horrible.
I think I just wanted to like it. I haven't watched it again. Like,
I mean, I'm not gonna watch it again.
I heard the extended edition wasn't very good. Like, it didn't add a lot. So I'm worried to watch it again. I've watched like little bits and clips and scenes.
You know what? I'm happy with just the one viewing and coming out thinking it's okay.
Yeah.
I'm happy with it being just okay in my mind.
I'm sorry that like almost every episode or opportunity we take to kind of DC bash, but look, was relevant. We're talking about Ezra Miller, who I am keen to see as the Flash.
Yes. So I feel like,
but he was good in this film. I liked him. I'm kind of I feel a bit bad for him that like when he was like, and now I've got my big moment, he just turns into a smoke monster. So
yeah, so it wasn't really him. It was just kind of CG effects.
Yeah, but the moments he did have, were good. What else
Yeah.
is there to talk about in this one? What do you want to see in a sequel? Let's talk about that for briefly.
Yeah. What do I want to see in a sequel? Well, I'm undecided because part of me wants to follow Newt more, wants to see what he's doing. At the same time, I don't know how he's going to be involved in the bigger picture of this upcoming Wizard
I
World
feel like
War II.
I've heard his role is going to be slightly diminished, and the next one comes out in 2018, and it's going to be set in Paris.
Okay. And do you think it's going to be a time jump as well?
It's probably going to be a little bit of a time jump. And I think they're casting now for like a young Albus Dumbledore. And by young, I don't mean like
I can do this.
no, a 21st. I mean like 50 something.
Wow.
So like an
old-
older gentleman.
How old was he?
He's 114 or something like
Yeah,
that.
'cause I
by
know
the
he's
time
real
Harry
fucking old.
Yeah.
Apparently wizards have longer lifespans.
Wizards live a while, apparently. Yeah.
Yeah, it's 100.
Which is something I feel like I only learnt this year.
Yeah, I never realized, but now knowing like when this was going on, Dumbledore was already like a pretty big name in the wizarding world.
Yeah.
Think about like this is the 20s. Oh my god, Dumbledore must be like 100 and something.
Yeah, like Voldemort was born by this point. Like he's a child somewhere.
Tom Riddle,
That's
little Tom Riddle.
Wizards are
Run,
old
Riddle.
fucks.
Yeah, no.
I want to see
as-
some dragons. I want to see more wizard battles. I want to see Grindelwald. Maybe it's probably cheesy. Grindelwald teaming up with Hitler.
I want to see.
I want to see Wizard World War II, full on like tanks and dragons and wizards and machine guns.
Yeah.
I want to see it.
Who do you think could
I
play?
feel like it would be dumb, but I want to see it so bad.
Who do you think could play a young Dumbledore? Well, this age Dumbledore.
I kind of just want to say Michael Fassbender because I really like Michael Fassbender. Actually, you know what? Who my pick for Grindelwald would have been? Michael Fassbender.
I see that more.
Just because like he's so good as Magneto. And then James McAvoy as Albus Dumbledore.
Oh my god!
Just get
Magneto and Professor X.
yes, just do that. See,
Yes, do that.
I just want to watch First Class again. That's such a good film.
We got Logan soon. Logan looks good so far.
I hope that's good. I want Hugh Jackman to end on a good note as Wolverine.
Yeah.
I don't know who you'd get as a young Albus Dumbledore because it has to be.
James McAvoy, we decided it.
Yeah, no, but it has to be like an older gentleman, so someone in their 40s probably who can play a little bit older.
Who's in their 40s in Hollywood now other than Johnny Depp?
Isn't he like 50? Or I don't know. How
Oh,
old
yeah,
he is.
he is.
He's an old fuck. They're all him and Robert Downey Jr. The older gentlemen.
I don't know who I'd think would be able to play a 50-ish-year-old Dumbledore.
Yeah. Maybe. Yeah, I'm standing by Michael Fassbender as a great choice. That, or maybe you could get... Is Tom Hiddleston in any of these yet?
No, he's not.
He's probably not the right choice for a young Albus Dumbledore, but I can't think of like who has the right twinkle in their eye besides maybe like a Michael Fassbender or a James McAvoy.
Yeah.
But James McAvoy, even that, he's too young to be like a young
Oh, they can
Dumbledore.
old him up with some makeup
You could
and
probably
shit.
hold him up a bit, but I don't know who you get. Because you can't get Michael Gambon because he's too old to play a young Dumbledore. Even though without all the beardy stuff, he looks a lot younger. But it needs to be someone around like Johnny Depp's age who can play against Johnny Depp. Preferably a British actor. Maybe...
Martin Freeman.
No, he's already in too many franchises. No.
Yeah, he's in everything.
I'm trying to think. Maybe you could get who's the guy who plays the governor on The Walking Dead?
Oh, I remember his
He's
name.
British, isn't he?
Yeah,
He could do it, maybe.
Yeah, he was in that episode of the Doctor Who where we had a British accent. It was a Christmas special, wasn't it?
It was a
He
Christmas
thought he was
special.
the Doctor.
He did. I would have totally accepted him as the next Doctor. He's a great actor.
Yeah, I
Really
think he
enjoy
looks
him.
too much like David Tennant though.
Yeah, no, not a lot. Like David Tennant's got a skinny face. His is a bit rounder.
Yeah, I still think they look
They
similar.
were dressed. They both had coats on. That's why.
Like I feel like they could pass as brothers. I feel like they could pass, like not in real life, but I feel like in a movie or a TV show they could pass as brothers.
But you get anyone as brothers. I mean, bloody Danny DeVito and Arnold Schwarzenegger played twins. So
Okay, that doesn't count. That doesn't count.
excuse me, that is a factual documentary.
That's a great story of our time.
Yeah.
So yeah. No, anyway.
All right.
Let's move on to some recommendations.
What have I been up to recently?
See, I haven't really listened or watched. Here's one thing. I finished watching the new season of American Horror Story.
Oh, is it finised already?
Yeah, it's 10 episodes.
Oh, okay.
There was no weird ass breaks like Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
I said I was gonna watch it, and I never did.
Well, it's finished now, so you can just like binge it over one weekend. It's 10 episodes.
We'll see. I finished Black Mirror.
I haven't quite finished it yet, but
I've almost finished. There's one episode I'm halfway through it, but I've watched like the last episode. It's the Shut Up and Dance. I've only watched halfway through that. I haven't.
Yeah. Well, here I'll give a little quickie review of American Horror Story as we won't have a full episode on it. Sorry. Sorry, anyone who cared. Probably not really.
No.
I feel like this season was stronger than the last two because both Freak Show and Hotel they weren't the best. Like I still watched them, but yeah, this one really picked it up. I will say I am still kind of getting sick of them doing like the supernatural ghosty type stuff over and over. I mean, like,
so it wasn't a hillbilly.
There were hillbillies in it.
Okay, because I was hoping it was
Like,
going to be like
there was more elements.
The Hills Have Eyes, kind of like
There were more
mutanty freaks.
There were more elements. Like what it was, they moved into a house, and the house was on the land which is haunted by like an old American settling tribe.
Oh,
Like the head woman of the tribe, she made like a deal with like a witch.
Oh,
and then the
witches.
The head woman, she was called the Butcher.
Oh.
She killed all her people, then killed herself, and they haunted the land forever because the land is forever theirs. So anyone who lived in the house, they killed them basically. And it's they even though they keep doing ghosts, they can't introduce new things. There were hillbilly cannibals. There were ghosts. There was, and it was they told the story in a different way. I'm sure I've mentioned this to you. Like the first 5 episodes is told as like a true crime documentary series type thing.
Oh yeah, I think I remember you mentioning it.
Yeah, where it's like you have the real people, doing a talking heads thing,
and then they'd reenact it.
Yeah, then have reenactors playing it out. But then the show kind of changes at episode 5 because episode 5 it's season 2. Season 2, they call it Return to Roanoke, where they get all the actors who did the reenactment and all the actual people to go back to the house for 3 days.
Okay.
Which, why? But
righto.
Yeah, and then that's all like that's a bit like.
It sounds like they're trying something new there.
Yeah, they're trying something new in the style of presenting it, and like some of the things, like the Return to Roanoke, it was meant to be all found footage stuff type thing, and like and they kind of covered their bases because the producer goes, "Oh, I've got cameras everywhere in the house and all throughout the woods, so no matter what they do the 3 days they're here, we'll see all of it."
I figure you can kind of do that these days, like especially like something like Planet Earth 2.
Yeah. I mean, for the most part, they got away with it, and it was believable. But there were sometimes where it was doing like a big sweeping overhead shot. I'm like, really?
Yeah, drones. I don't know.
Spoilers. By this point, the producer was dead, so there was no one to control the drones at that point.
Is the cameraman dead?
Everyone, but the whole couple people were dead.
Well, robots. I don't know.
Yeah, no, it's kind of like some of these shots you're doing. I don't believe they'd be a found footage thing because they're trying to pass it off as real.
Oh yeah. Righto.
In classic American Horror Story style, everyone fucking dies, but. It's not a spoiler.
Yeah. I've thought of what I'd done recently. I listened to the new Metallica album, the new Metallica.
Oh, Metallica! I'm like, who's Metallica?
Metallica, yeah, Hardwired to Self-Destruct. They did they pulled a kind of Beyonce and they released a music video for every song
Oh God.
on the album, and it's good. Like it's a return to form. Like some of the songs kind of bleed into each other, and some of the music videos are a bit kind of like their music. Like Atlas Rise is a good song, but the music video for it is kind of reminiscent a lot of like Some Kind of Monster, the documentary they did, where it's kind of like it's just them in the studio and like them kind of trying to figure out how to do the song. While the other ones are a bit more interesting. Like there's the last song on the album, Spit Out the Bone, which is probably my favorite song because it's the thrashiest. The music video is very kind of trashy and there's some kung fu and like schlocky horror elements to it.
That's your shit.
That's my shit right there. So I really enjoy that song and I really enjoy that music video. But some of the other ones are a bit more artistic, a bit more interesting. Like there's one, Man Unkind is pretty good. It's got the cast from an upcoming film about mayhem, and the music video is kind of like inspired by a mayhem concert. So it's a very kind of, it's like a black metal kind of looking thing, but it's the song's kind of very kind of hard rock on it. So I feel like it's a return to form for them. It's definitely recorded a lot better than previous, like recent Metallica albums. Like it's not painful to listen to. Like it's recorded well. The songs are kind of simple, but they're all kind of catchy, so they all kind of stick in your ear. So I feel like that's good. Like it's not like the most technically proficient metal album I've heard all year or in recent years.
I don't think Metallica have ever technically been the most technically proficient band. But you don't need to be.
No.
You don't need to be.
But yeah, it's not groundbreaking, but for them, it's a good return to form, and there's some catchy songs. And if I want to listen to the song again straight away after listening to it, then I feel that's my sign of like that's a good song. So
Definitely.
I've enjoyed it. Yeah.
Nice.
If you want to check out some tracks, definitely Spit Out the Bone, maybe Man Unkind, Halo on Fire, Hardwired, and Moth into Flame.
I heard Atlas Awaits, I think it was called.
Atlas Rise.
Atlas Rise.
Yeah.
I heard it on Triple M at work.
Oh yeah, it's very Iron Maiden-y. It's got a lot of Iron Maiden riffs in there, which is good for me.
I feel that.
I dig some good harmonies.
Yeah. Anyway, is there anything else you watched or listened to? I can't really think of anything else because
I'm kind of waiting for the big CW crossover to happen.
How many weeks till that?
That is next week, I think.
Okay, I've got a lot of watching to do in this week.
Yes,
I've gotten all the episodes of everything I need to watch, except Supergirl. I'm just going to wing it with that part of the crossover.
Yeah,
I should be caught up.
Supergirl's been good this season. Like, I feel like the transition from CBS to CW has been good for the show because the action's gotten a lot better.
Nice.
And they've got more superheroes and more aliens and stuff going on now, so it's good.
Maybe over Christmas time I'll get myself caught up on Supergirl because that's when everything will be on mid-season hiatus.
Yeah.
So I'll have some more time in my schedule. And I think American Horror Story is done. Westworld will be done by then.
Yeah. That's probably going to wrap up soon. I'm an episode behind. I haven't watched the most recent episode yet.
I think I'm 2 episodes behind. I'm 2 episodes behind on most of my shows right now.
Yeah.
Because it's been playing Skyrim, watching Black Mirror.
That's fair, man. I've been editing, and then I'll get a break whenever there's like, and this will render for the next 2 hours. Well, that's 2 shows.
Yeah, 2 episodes.
Yeah. Alrighty.
Anyway,
next week will be a news week, probably.
Oh, do you want to talk about Arrival on the podcast? Or?
No, we'll mention that maybe in our best or worst of 2015, depending on how we feel about it.
Maybe we'll give a little talk about it in the.
Oh, not 2015, 2016. Yeah.
Maybe we'll give a little talk about it in the recommendations.
Maybe. Yeah.
But I do want to see it. I want to put it out there. I do want to see it.
I do want to see it as well. There are a lot of good films that I've missed this year already, though. So.
We're going to try and see it while I was in work this week, but I'm too fucking busy.
I was so busy.
And it's not even a weekend. That's how out of whack my days are. It's like, I'm not at work, it's weekend.
All right, we'll leave it there. We'll catch you next week.
Yeah. Hope you enjoyed us talking about the Fantastic Beasts and where to find them.
Yeah. If you want to follow us on social media, you can find us at facebook.com/PCMR podcast. Yeah, I just remembered them just then. We're also on Twitter at PCMR podcast. We're also on Instagram at PCMR podcast. We have our own personal Twitter accounts. I'm at Aidan's Vlog, AIDANSVLOG.
I'm at MeMan125. If you'd like, you can send us an email. We have an email address purely for emails. It is PCMRpodcast@gmail.com. What else do we have, Aidan?
Well, we also have a YouTube and an iTunes. That's probably where you're listening to some of this audio. If you're on YouTube, just give us a subscribe. Just type in PCMR podcast, you'll find us. If you type in PCMR on iTunes, you find us there as well. Give us a subscribe, gives us 5 stars, bumps us up in the ratings, really helps us out. We also have a website, PCMRpodcast.net. That's where all the audio gets posted. Maybe links to the videos. I'm not sure if we're doing that or not. But it also has all our social media links. It has links to our YouTube and stuff. So you can, if you want like a quick place to like, well, where can I find all this stuff? Go to the website.
Yeah, you'll get there from
You'll get there from there.
You'll get there.
All right, that's everything.
Yeah, that's it. That's the plugs. Yeah, go find us. Hello, goodbye. I love you.
Bye.
I love you.
Oh, and if you're in Wagga on the December 2nd, I'm doing a comedy show. So go see that.
Yeah, we'll post that on the page maybe. Probably.
Yeah, maybe.
I slipped it in.
Yes.